Thank you so much, Ruchi, for this lovely introduction of all our panelists present here. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good to see you all here today. I'm Ashwini Gangwal, and I'll be the moderator of the session, as she just mentioned. I know we are in the very last segment, so we are not going to bore you. We'll keep it very interactive. We are here because we care most about one thing, that is our customers. But let's be real with ourselves. Delivering a seamless experience every day is anything but simple. Between the teams, challenges, the tools, and the tons of touch points, even the best of brands can fall into the trap of frictions and mixed messaging. But let's just drop all of these buzzwords for a moment and let's get real. Where exactly are we losing our customers in this journey? How can CX and marketing teams work together, not just through their shared dashboards, but help us co-create experiences? And most importantly, how can we personalize without actually getting creepy about it? So without any further ado, let's get started with the question that is at the heart of it all. What are the key friction points and messaging gaps hindering seamless customer experience across touchpoints? I'd like Riveena to share her insights on this.
Hey, hi, hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening. It's almost evening, yeah. So it comes back to the topic that I, want to talk about in most of the, events. What are the gaps that, that could be a friction point, and how do we identify it, and what are the fixes that we can do to better your entire journey for the customers? So the points that, as per my experience, I feel is, moving to a reactive approach rather than a proactive approach, right? So it's great, when your customers are calling you for raising complaints, rather you go backwards and understand why they are calling you, right? So you go more on a reactive side, understand what are your areas where maybe in the segment that I am in, like an e-commerce segment. So I identify and I inform customers if there's any delays, there's any outages that happens. And I try to fix it because, that's how my customers will not call and you don't have your unnecessary contacts. Then comes, between AI and your human interaction. So you could have your tone and your language, which is, consistent enough. Because when you're, as per my experience, when you're interacting with the bot, it goes more transactional, it goes more robotic. Whereas, when you're talking with an agent, with a human, there's more warmth, there's more helpfulness that you see, right? So make sure that the voice of the brand is, constant, and it doesn't move with whatever mode that you're choosing to assist your customers, right? And then, I could also say that over-promising, what's the reality, right? So we see a lot of, promises that's been made where we're just a call away, you call us, and we're there for you, right? But the reality is, you go into the loop of bots, right? And then you don't get the actual experience that you're expecting. So maybe fixes around that, understanding that, and then, fixing that gap where you don't overpromise and, you deliver what is promised, right? So that's where you, get the loyalty back from the customers. And then over-automation could also lead to, a big problem, right? So you understand a human fallback, like we were having a conversation just a while ago, right? So understanding what goes into your bots or your automation, and then what has to be a human touch point, right? So getting that point would be another, thing right in terms of moving ahead, right? So yeah, that's my take on this.
That was really, really great. I completely agree with your reactive approach rather than the proactive approach part. So here's a question for Aalok. How can organizations measure the real impact of messaging gaps on the customer retention part?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to add up to, or rather building on to what Riveena said. Identifying gap is something which is going to be really very critical. But apart from that, what is going to be important is the frequency where messaging the customers, right? What all updates are we sharing with the customers? Are we over nudging them or not over nudging them? So these are few of the underlying elements which needs to be considered while we are doing the messaging with the customers. Third, and something which is going to be really very important is that having a right consent management. Right now, I would say in this hall or in this area, we will have all of us are victims of over nudging being done by certain brands, right? I can name few brands. I don't want to name it here on the forum, but it acts as daily alarm for me to get up from my bed. So the point is that it should not reflect upon that the brand hate starts coming in. Second, what are the analytics or data points you are supporting with the brand? So for an example, if I'm doing any marketing campaigns in which I'm responsible for in a TVS Motor Company also, X is the spend what I'm doing on a marketing, right? What are the auto journeys that I have had configured on my system so that on that trigger point the journey starts. It either goes as a WhatsApp, it goes as an SMS. Now we have one more channel which is an RCS, certainly much more convenient in order to have the fallback mechanism. Against that, how is my prospect moving in the funnel from one point to the another point? That is something which is my success metric, and how am I defining my success metrics? And fourth, overall, develop the self-serve as in pipeline for the customer so that I don't need to message my customers. Some of the information, it's good to have a handy, and I can give an example of connected services. For an example, my vehicle is due for servicing. Why do I want message on or give a call? My connected services is connected on my phone. I get a notification on my app as well as on cluster that my vehicle is due servicing. These are a few of the gaps which can be thrashed out by implementing the omnichannel as a strategy to message the customers, intention, promotions, etc., or the add-ons which you want to, which generates the sales as the revenue. That needs to make separate. So holistically, I think it's a framework which needs to be defined along with the metrics what are going to be tied to each of those journey points, and what is a success metric. And there has to be a regular PDCA like plan, do, check, act, which comes into the play, and that the basis that you keep on revising the strategy. So yeah, that would be my thoughts on it.
That's really great to hear. Rizwan, what are your thoughts on how can we actually collaborate to deliver hyper-personalized experiences across both the marketing and the customer service channels?
Right. While I was hearing very patiently to what Aalok was saying, reacting to what has occurred is just one part of it. Now, a lot of our acquisitions these days, especially with fast-paced growing companies, happen through the digital channels. Now, first-time users, and the experience that you deliver to first-time users becomes the key in ensuring that these people that have been acquired remain on your platform, or they're loyal on your platform, or they continue to give business on your platform. So whatever that the user has seen, okay, before he converted. For example, a lot of you would have seen the Rapido ads in the IPL, where we say 5 minute, right? Bus 5 minute. So you don't get an auto in 5 minutes, you get up to $50 or your next ride on us, okay? Now, the bot has been programmed where a customer reports this issue, that he has not got a service in 5 minutes, and the bot is supposed to refund that. Now imagine that bot breaking, okay? So you have to be all ears, when this is happening. It also points out, if you don't react fast enough. For example, there is one particular area in a city where you see that the number of this complaint is tremendously higher than other places. It gives an indicator that probably you don't have enough supply there. Okay, so reacting to both of it. One is that did your bot do the job it was supposed to do? Did it refund the customer? If it does not, it's a bad experience, because I'm promising you that you get $50 if I don't give you a ride in 5 minutes. So did that job take place correctly? Secondly is that if you get multiple VOCs from different places, of the same issue happening, it also is an opportunity for you to build your supply where this problem is happening, such that the promise that you have made to the customer is fulfilled proactively. The second very important factor is that while reacting on time is important, there has to be absolutely seamless communication going across your support functions on what are you promising in your marketing campaigns, or what are you promising in your performance marketing campaigns. So for example, and when I say customers, it could be both the end customers or the driver partners or our captains that we have promised. Now, for example, in your acquisition campaign, if you have promised that somebody earns 25,000 rupees a month, that has to be fulfilled. If it doesn't get fulfilled, the acquisition would not last on your platform. Okay. Now, when this doesn't happen, when there's a breakage, the support teams have to ensure that you live up to your commitments. So wherever there has been an expectation failure, the teams have to react quickly to it, but at the same time, proactive communication between the teams on what is it that is going out to the market for acquisition should be there with the support functions, such that from both the channels, you pass on one message to the customer, one message to the end user. It becomes very, very important to take care of it.
It's like basically important that both the teams are on the same page.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Riveena, what role does leadership play in eliminating silos between customer service and brand teams? What are your thoughts on that?
My thought is, leadership plays a huge role, in breaking down silos between marketing and customer experience teams. Because if you do it right, it transforms your experience, right? So I would say a few ways which could be done. You just don't build culture, you just don't build tools, right? But you build that particular culture of ownership within your teams. So when your teams understand that the entire journey of the customer has to be handheld by different teams bringing together, right? So that goes a long way, right? So, and when you set your goals for your organization, you set it up in a way that it builds your entire experience, and your experience is your main goal, right? So then everybody works towards it. So not just pushing collaboration, but ensuring you're leading the teams with a purpose of aligning them together. So like how Rizwan said, the marketing teams should be able to provide the support teams with the campaign help, right? That this is the campaign that they are running, and the support teams would be ready, for whatever kind of queries that's coming in from the customers. So, yeah, that's on the whole, what I'd like to talk about, leadership being the strong component for driving your entire experience and bridging the gap between the teams, right? So, yeah.
All right. Rizwan, what's your take on the same? Like, what role does leadership play in eliminating silos between the customer service and the brand teams?
Not just the customer service and the brand team, the leadership team, it is our responsibility to ensure that all teams are seeing in the same direction. When you are a business at scale, present at over 350 cities in the country, and a lot of acquisitions or a lot of these campaigns would be run locally, okay? Now, if you run a local campaign, basis a local tie-up that you have done, and the support functions, which generally are not present at every city, they would be, at different locations. How do you ensure that all the teams know on what is it that is going out in the market, and in what direction? So if something has been done for acquisition, whatever terms and conditions, what are campaigns you are running, whatever BTL activities that you're doing at different places, all of it, why is it happening? The why of it has to be very, very clear, not only to the support functions, but also to your tech and product teams, who would then eventually, ensure that your bots are also responding the same way that it is supposed to happen. So somebody running a local acquisition campaign, promising something to a customer, if the central team, the tech and product team, does not communicate or does not channelize the bot in a similar way to respond, that the agent is supposed to respond. So any of these legs could not be breaking. All the teams looking into the same direction, knowing what's going out in the market is very, very important.
Very true.
I'd like to add on.
Yeah, sure.
On one of the things that Rizwan said. So out of my experience, because I've been only into customer experience, and that's what I know is that I was talking to everybody about. So we had led a project, which is, where the entire teams, being it product team, your marketing teams, any of the teams, come and answer the customer's call. It's not only the CX responsibility. However, everybody should know what's the pain, when you talk to a customer. And when he is grieved, then is the actual show, right? So that's how, people used to understand that this is something that we should take up, like, for example, the product team. So that's one of the experiences that I'd like to share, here.
That's really nice. Glenson, how do we ensure that customer insights and feedbacks are consistently integrated into both the marketing campaigns and the customer experience strategies?
So let me take this into two parts. So when we talk about customer feedback, right? So it can be from any form or any source. It can be from a review or a poll or a survey, for anything for that matter. But how does this information flows to all the subordinate units, whereas marketing, where it can be product management, it can be customer-facing team, where all these data has to be enabled as a centralized point of view, where that gets stitched to the patient, or for the user point of view, that this is something that the user wants. And that gives the room to the product and the marketing to develop or to pitch the user from the user's point of view. And the same thing, if I have to say as an example, Nike collects their customer feedback, customer details from their Nike Plus app as well as from their digital sources. But what they see is that they analyze what the user wants from their product and services. And based on that, they curated a campaign kind of a thing where the user can personalize what he wants. He can customize the sneakers or a garment as per the user wants to be it. So that gives the user a good feeler in terms of, okay, my voice has been heard. Feedback is nothing but a voice of a customer. So when it comes to customer insights, so in marketing, we call something as go-to-market. So without customer insights coming in, a good go-to-market wouldn't be available at all. So once we know, okay, this product is to be launched in this particular location, and what is my product? So the customer insights will enable us in terms of building strong targeting model for us. Who is my profile customers that I need to target, and who is likely to be my customers in my future. So all these things is something that feedbacks as well as the customer insights will enable marketing into scaling or moving up the needle. And again, closing the loop, once we have the feedback coming from the user, it is very important that we close the loop with the customer, saying that we hear you, so that it eventually improves brand advocacy, as well as it will help needle move to your customer lifetime value. So that's my take on it.
That was really nice. Aalok, what technologies or platforms are enabling real-time personalization at scale today?
I mean, this is interesting. I have a laundry list of platforms which can do that, right? And throughout the journey, I have used multiple platforms. But if I have to speak about something, I think we should have a full stack, full stack available in order to manage multiple items, right? I can name a few. Salesforce is one of the key player in the market, which we use essentially at TVS Motor Company and TVS Group. So what we have is that not only just one platform which solves the problem of customer facing. There are 3 stacks which we have developed over a period of time, be it a CDP, CMP, and CCP. So CMP certainly takes care of marketing cloud, which is a MarTech as a platform. Then we have a CDP, which is a data cloud platform, which understands the data, helps us put across the triggers, across the journey points, etc., etc. And then we have a service cloud also, which takes care of customer service as a problem. However, we still do not have a full solution available, which I see right now as an opportunity in the market. Right, over a period of time, much of engagement has moved over socials, right? And social has a platform restrictions also. So if I give a use case as an example, using my Facebook name, I complained something about, let's say the brand that is TVS Motor Company, right? Would Service Cloud has an ability that this is Aalok Pradhan who's customer with me? The answer is no. Right now, I mean, this is something which is, really very interesting topic. Till the time I have that portfolio been, linked with my internal database and the social, and the other opportunity which lies in the system is that Aalok Pradhan is Aalok Pradhan right now, can be AP as well tomorrow. Then again, that credential changes, and then my ability to identify the customer goes away. So these are few of the elements which needs to be taken care of. I believe over a period of time, many organizations are doing good work in putting across the omnichannel as a solution. Hoping to see some of them outside of this room as well. But yeah, this still lies as an opportunity which is not yet explored completely. But another element to it is that how good we are at a data protection also. So something similar to GDPR, if we get it here, then it can solve some of these problems. That's my take on it.
All right. We just heard about data protection. So here's a question to Padmanaban. How can we effectively share and protect customer data between the marketing and the CX teams while ensuring the privacy and the personalizations?
Hi, good evening all. It's a very interesting question, Ashwini. See, it is very important, especially I represent a financial institution where privacy concerns are, pretty important. And essentially when you have a CRM platform which looks at all customer data, it has all demographic data, complaints data, queries, what products he uses, and a lot of stuffs on the CRM side, and you have a marketing orchestration platform, typically which engages with the consumers. And these two could be different systems, and there has to be proper ways in terms of how these solutions talk to each other. So there are some first principles that we adopt, ensuring that all data which either gets communicated or is saved is essentially encrypted, right? So that's some basic level of comfort that customer gets. Even in some of the marketing automation platform that we use are on the cloud, and they're all SaaS solutions. Now, but still as an institution, as a financial institution, you don't want your data to get exposed. So we do something called as bring your own keys, where we encrypt the data and the keys are managed by the bank. So there are these engineering and first principles from a security standpoint that if you incorporate, you can ensure that both your behavioral data as well as these demographics and other internal data can coexist, and still you can get a good experience. That's one way. The other thing also is, from a privacy standpoint, right? With the kind of pickup that Gen AI and the AI use cases are seeing, as an organization, you need to have a very clear view in terms of what data goes where, right? As in, is it just for an, a bot to understand an intent that am I sending some information? Are there PII in that information? Is it going out of your, maybe a private cloud onto a public cloud? So, a lot of thought process has to be applied at the data engineering level. And once you abstract these and set up platforms where you know what data goes where, you can take care of privacy concerns much better. So when we orchestrate for customer servicing, when we adopt Gen AI or some of the bots, we ensure that, no PII information goes out. And you also ensure that, only data which is related to the intent classification and maybe understanding what the user is talking about, maybe goes on to, some of the public services which are there. So a lot of data engineering work is probably at the core to, balance between privacy and the customer experience.
All right. Chaitra, how can customer trust be maintained while using behavioral data to enhance the experiences?
Sure. Hi. Good evening, everyone. So I think when it comes to customers, right, it's very important to know what kind of data that they're sharing. And moreover, I strongly believe that it's very important to take their consent or make it transparent as to this is the data from maybe from your device, maybe the information that you're filling out in forms, what is the way that you want to use it, and how are we going to further enhance it or use it, right? Keeping all the legality in place. There's a lot of protection acts right now about your personal information. And I think making sure that the consent is taken from the customers is very important to, any data that we ask from. Even it can just be a name, right? Name, it can be forged, anything. So I think data consent, data protection is very important. And when it comes to, any sensitive data, when it comes to any purchases that they make online versus, just can be a healthcare right now is online consultations. The privacy matters a lot. So I think that trust that we have to build with each and every customer, and that's where they also have the trust on the brands that they're building right now, be it even, a lot of AI integrations that has happened, be it it's an automation that is running. It can be any form of, customer interactions that we are having, even on the social platforms, even on a bot interactions, be it on a telephonic conversation. I think that's more or less a trust that happens between a customer and a company is very important right now to run, or even, have a long-term, customer trust in terms of running businesses. So I think my take is just that, a consent will always help us understand and keep the customer transparent about what a company is, seeking information and how we can enhance it further. And I think, they have also given, a lot of information about data protection and how it is important. So I think that plays a very vital role for us. Thanks.
True. So consent and trust plays a very important role in delivering a seamless customer experience, we can say. Siddharth, how can brands deliver hyper-personalized experiences without crossing the line on the data privacy?
Yeah, hi. Firstly, thanks for having me here. I think a lot of great points have been made by folks on the panel. I am a marketer, so I'm going to put on the hat of a marketer to answer this question. When customers are looking at a campaign or using the product, what is it that they look for? They don't care about personalization, right? All they care about is an incredible customer experience. What's behind the hood is something that comes later. So that's essentially the first thing that they would absolutely look for. So for the brands that I manage, if you take Alexa, what gives them great satisfaction is when, let's say, a child is interacting with the device and it gives a funny response, or it gives a response that helps them to learn something about a topic, and it keeps them really engaged, right? And that's what keeps them coming back to the product every time. From a technical perspective, every time a customer is speaking with Alexa, it's a different dialect, right? You switch between Hindi and English as well. So there are those challenges, but it's technically speaking, you have to ensure that it still remains a seamless experience, right? So that's a non-negotiable. The second thing that matters, which has been touched upon, is trust, right? You're in the business of trust. It has to be permission-based. There's a lot of D2C brands out there. I wouldn't take names. But when I buy from them, I love their products, but I suddenly see a WhatsApp notification, and I'm like, I never gave you the permission for this, right? And if it keeps happening, you're kind of crossing that line, and then you're losing a customer potentially. But at the same time, when it comes to HDFC Bank, let's say, or Karnataka Bank, right? So you would appreciate it because you would have likely given the permission, and it makes your experience simpler, right? Now coming to consent and coming to trust, it has to be permission based. So that's the first part. The second is a lot of times, because I come from the e-commerce industry and I've spent the most number of years there, when you see a set of products online and you're visiting a website, the customer shouldn't be surprised if it's a personalized experience and it's like, what are you showing me, right? Like UX best practices go a long way. Saying, like, why am I seeing this is actually built into the feature, and that guides the customer in understanding, okay, like this is how my data is being used, and this is why it's being shown to me. Also giving the power in the hands of the customer to say, hey, I appreciate what you're showing me, but I don't want you to show me this again, right? You see that on Netflix, you see that on other CTV platforms. So this is what goes a long way in helping the customer journey, and goes a long way in helping marketers as well. At Amazon, we say 8 out of 10 points in marketing is having a great product experience. So that's why I'm harping so much on this one. And yeah, I'll end by saying that I think there's a lot of temptation for all of us to collect as much data as possible. And I think it feels like that's the right formula to win. But I think the advantage is to do more with less and do it very intentionally. It helps from a technical perspective. It helps rally teams internally around a single unifying force and deliver really well for the customer. So yeah.
That was really insightful. It gave a new perspective, I feel. Ankit, coming from a technical and a product background, what are your takes on what technologies or process ensure continuity of experience across asynchronous touchpoints?
All right, interesting. So the question is continuity of experience across asynchronous touchpoints. All right, so in my point of view, I would put continuity as not being present everywhere, but remembering everywhere. So in today's time where brands have so many channels, so many touch points to interact, and almost all brands are doing that, but how many brands are actually remembering what was being conversed on which channel? So to kind of give the continuity in experience across asynchronous touch points, there is a technology and design implementation is what I would say. When it comes to technology, the first thing that we would want is centralized customer memory, which tells you who the customer is, where the customer is, what was the customer trying to do on the last touch point, and where did he drop off. Be it your CDP, your CRM, your personal, logic build platform. What matters is, in today's time, that the conversational state must live outside the channel. It should live beyond the channel if you want to give that continuous experience. So CDP is something that you would need, and on top of that, what you would also need is a logical layer, which I would like to call orchestration engine, right? This engine is something which will keep a track of the route. So if the customer is taking a detour, or a customer is taking a pause for a day or a week, Google Maps for that matter, right? So this orchestration engine will take care of tracking of that route. That's from the technology standpoint, but something which is very important, which I feel outside the technology today, is also designing this CX journeys. And now when our CX leaders are designing these journeys, what I would also say is design for the real life, not for the digital life only. And the reason why I say this is because in today's time, in the time of AI and ML that we are in, the line that separates digital platforms and real world, it's becoming thinner day by day. So if you think about the journeys in the real life, I think we will have a better CX on the digital platforms. So questions such as whether the experience that brand is building, does it have tolerance for silence? Can it continue without any awkward reset, right? Are we using enough personalization, keeping the intent and memory of the last conversation between the brand and the user, right? So I think those are the design frameworks that the brands will have to focus on top of the technological advancement that we can use. And in order to do that, what I strongly believe is that the brands will have to kind of reset their mindset to have a channel neutrality, right? So today you have so many channels, and I'm an advocate of channel back in Helo.ai, but today I'm sitting here as an advocate of CX. What I truly believe is when you are defining a journey of CX, you have a channel neutrality back of your mind. Because when a user is communicating to a brand, the user is communicating to a brand and not a channel, right? So it's not WhatsApp, it's not RCS, it's not web-based chatbot, it's the brand with whom I am communicating as a user. And that's what matters the most. So to summarize, what I would say is technology is definitely there and it's evolving, plus the empathy in terms of designing the journey can ensure the continuity in terms of experience that we deliver to the customers today. Thank you.
Right. On the similar thought, how can brands ensure a seamless journey when the customers switch channels mid-conversations?
Oh, mid-conversation. Yeah. All right. So I think to answer this question, what I would do is I'll try to understand the scenario where if I as a user, I'm trying to switch between channels while conversing with the brand is primarily because I want to close something faster. There is a roadblocker that I am facing right now, which I want the brand to kind of clear it for me as fast as possible. So this is more towards the real-time synchronization rather than the asynchronous drop-off that we spoke about, you know. To answer this question, what I'd say is, here the brands will have to have a centralized customer context, right? And, you know, so knowing what was the last conversation on what platform, as I said, is something which is important. But beyond that, what also matters is that if it is a multi-channel communication at the same time, this context has to travel across channel at the same time. So a shared context memory is something which is required to kind of tackle these situations where an end customer is kind of talking on multiple channels. What the worst thing that the brand can do in such situation is asking the customer to repeat himself over and over again, right? So again, going back to the design, are the journeys built keeping that the customer is going to stay on one channel, or it is built anticipating that the customer is going to hop channels? If your journeys are designed in such a manner that my customer is going to reach out to all the possible available channels that I have made available, I think the experience is far more superior. So anticipating switching should not be an edge case in today's time. It should be a normal behavior. That has to be normalized. I think if we take care of these things, then we are in a good position to give that seamless experience to the end user when the end user is kind of switching between channels in a real conversation.
True, very much true.
Thank you.
Chaitra, what is your take on our communities, the new CRM for brands looking to build lasting loyalty?
Yeah, so definitely I have put a thought on this, you know, when I personally handle a lot of channels across, you know, customer support, being in the same industry for about 16 years. And I think what I understand is CRMs definitely help in terms of, you know, any ticketing that they raise, any customer queries that, you know, come to us. And it's a one-on-one interaction that happens to solve a problem for them at that point in time. And I think when it comes to community, it more becomes like a discussion platform. And, you know, the ideas actually can flow in not only from one person, it can flow in from a lot of directions. Anybody who is interested with that topic is going to jump in and start sharing their ideas, start sharing their thoughts. It would be an interesting conversation. And I think when it comes to CRM versus community, community is growing faster. A lot of people are looking into reviews, looking into, I think Reddit is maybe everybody's fond, you know, platform that we use. We want to understand what's happening, be it a single topic. You want to understand what's the entire conversation. And even you want to make a choice, you actually go into the forums, you want to see what is a larger audience talking about it rather than the reviews on a, you know, specific brand platforms, right? So when it comes to a single, you know, line that I want to say about how CRM community is, CRM helps us for a lot of data, right? It can help us in terms of how the customer journey is, what are the complaints they have raised, how we were able to solve it, what is the journey, and maybe even, it will help us in a lot of the company standards of how I want to maintain customer, interactions and solving customer queries. But community definitely is a long-term relation, and also how the brand is going to, accept the fact, right? Because the brand is also going to communicate online. And when they are communicating, they accept, even the good versus the bad. And how they react to the bad interactions also matters. It can just be just acceptance of a feedback, right? So I think community goes a long way versus a CRM. And definitely CRM is important because every company wants data. So I think that's where the line is. That's my thought.
Right.
Thanks.
Siddharth, from a marketer's perspective, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I think the goal for both CRM and community is the same, which is have a long-term relationship with the customer, right? That lifetime value that we talk about in marketing parlance. As a marketer, I tend to believe that community matters more, but and as an example, I would say, your favorite influencer on Instagram or any other platform today, they might not have a brand that you buy from, right? But I can guarantee that if they launch a brand in their name, you would be one of their first set of customers and you'd keep buying from them, right? So they have created that competitive advantage through community. And one of the key reasons for that is a community is the place where your best evangelists and your most loyal customers are speaking on your behalf. And that's extremely powerful. So when I say all that, does it mean that CRM is dead? No, I think there's a place for both. We just have to be very mindful on how they complement each other. And that's what makes marketing really successful when we do it that way. Thanks.
All right. Rajiv, what's your take on how can brands turn transactional interactions into community-driven relationships?
Sure, check. Hi, good evening, everyone. I think most of the points my fellow panelists have covered. I just kind of retouch upon a few areas with respect to community building and with respect to personalization. So you all know, right? I mean, the customer experience in the AI is kind of reshaping the very fabric of how customers sees a brand online, or probably what they expect from the brand. So let's go back into the days where a product is sold, and at the end of a purchase, it's just the customer gets a receipt and probably a thank you or maybe a smile. But today, customer expects more than that, right? I mean, they just don't go with the transactional value, and they need a sense of belonging with the brand, right? They want to get associated with the brand, and they want the brand to value them. At this phase, it's very important for the cross-function teams in an organization to come together. They cannot work in silos. And to put a collective strategy saying that this is how I'm going to kind of enhance the customer journey, right from acquisition to support, to continuing the lifetime value that what Siddharth said, which is a key metric for a marketing team. So what customer feels is that they're more concerned about how a brand made them feel than what they actually sold, right? So that's very important at the current stage where we are at. When we talk about personalization, hyper-personalization and all that, there is a very nice term called reverse personalization, right? Where we all have websites and the contact us form. You ask customers to fill a zillions of details, but what happened to all of those data, right? I mean, I don't recall a last time where I used to fill a contact us form to a site or for an inquiry, and I get a personalized response from the brand saying that, hey, Rajiv, we received your email, and so-and-so person is going to pick this on so-and-so time, and we will probably reach you on so-and-so time. Probably the automated mail is not having a personalized communication is what, probably the verbiage is what the customer may expect. So you put a humanized face to a product or a service from the brand is something called reverse personalization. That's something not many brands are doing at the moment. Yeah, so largely what I want to touch upon is that we, at Airtel, especially in my team, what we do is we collaborate, we don't cascade. So since I'm coming from the marketing background, I handle the cross-function teams, also handle the customer experience team. So we also collaboratively design a campaign, and most importantly, we take inputs and feedbacks from all the cross-function team, and it's not just marketing team decides there's a day we're going to push a campaign, and that's a cascading email that goes out of the other functions. So it doesn't work that way, and if that is working that way, it's just going to yield result in one just area and not a holistic experience for the customer. So a recent example is the Perplexity Pro access we have been giving to Airtel customers, active customers, for 1 year. So this is a blockbuster campaign that the marketing and the partnership team did, and it's a lot of insights came from the customer experience team saying that when we launch this, the first key thing is that the customer should have a seamless journey to enable this Pro. It's not like you submit it, you go claim it, then you fill a form, and then you go open another app. It's not like that. You just open the Airtel app, and if you're an active Airtel user, and cleared all your bills, then you will be able to, with a blink of an eye, you will be able to log into Perplexity. So that, what I mean is that this is a collective effort that is coming from all the functions in the organization, and customers will not look at silos. They will look at brand as a one team, and what they get out of the brand is what they recall. So largely that's it. Thank you.
All right. Padmanabhan, how do changing data privacy regulations affect the cross-functional customer insight sharing?
Yeah, so as in the DPDP Act is kind of around the corner. As in we are going to see stringent rules in terms of consent management. What do you ask a consent for? How long is it going to be valid? What products? Do you have an explicit consent? All this is going to hit most of the institutions, right? As organizations, we need to have frameworks where these are centrally managed. There are talks about, just like your DLT platform, there will be a central registry for digital consent management, which organizations have to come in. So brands have to be cognizant about this, right? And that's how probably, like what we said, a bit of engineering work in terms of keeping all your marketing platforms, CRMs as loosely coupled, and which can talk to these consent systems and be ready, as this transition happens, to be leveraging these centralized consent architecture and be able to communicate to your customers, right? So that's how brands will have to reorganize themselves. Also, if you are in some partnerships and if you're working with many conversations, there are also aspects in terms of data exchange, how two organizations can come in together, maybe leverage a common database service, right? Maybe have certain ways of exchanging this data where you can co-create products. So there are also these newer things that technology facilitates, which brands have to leverage, I would say, right? And there are case studies where some organizations have collaborated on a common database service where the customer data from A and customer data B comes in. Both of them are not exchanged. You just look up for what cohorts you want to create out of it, and then go ahead launching partnerships. So these are also innovative models which are coming up in the industry.
All right. Glenson, what are your thoughts on what are the risks of over-personalizations, and how can brands avoid alienating customers?
So, okay, there's a saying, too much is too bad. I think you need to have this in mind when it comes in terms of personalization. Certainly, it helps, to improve the engagement or to enhance customer experience with the website or with the service. But what has to be kept in mind is that we don't utilize highly sensitive data to use with the customer. And the customer shouldn't have a sense or should get a feeler in terms of, okay, this brands know more things about me. So that is something that has to be kept in mind when it comes to personalization also. So in our take, it is personalization is good, it adds value, but it's not always about the sales. Personalization is not always about sales. It is about how are you creating relevancy to the user in terms of what the user wants. So that's my take in terms of how we can use personalization to the extent where the user is not offended. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. We are actually about time. So thank you so much all for being such a lovely panel, and all the audience for your patience and for keeping up with us. Thank you once again.